I keep trying to get away, but they keep pulling me back. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa, and last week we talked about the top 10 reasons why you should be dating an older man, but today I'm going to be talking about 10 things to take into consideration that might be negative before you start dating older men. So the first thing I wanted to start with is that I know I said older men are sexy, but not all of them are. You have to find the right ones. And so if you're in like a rural area where it's not heavily populated, this might be an issue for you. I know a couple of the older men that I've dated, I've had to drive an hour or more to date, and I only see them a couple times a month, which is fine by me, but if you're one of those people that's really clingy, it might be an issue for you. And then number two, I know I had said before that it was a good thing that they were forgetful, but it can also be a bad thing too, because I know that I have issues with them remembering to text me back, and that's really frustrating for me because, you know, our generation is so used to being on our phones all the time that it kind of sucks. It makes you feel as if they don't care about you, and that can be disheartening. Actually, this is a funny story about the guy that I told you I've been seeing. He hadn't texted me for like weeks, and so I sent him a quick text, and I said, "Are we done here? Can you just let me know?" And he texted me back, and he was like, "Hey, sorry, no, my brother was in town, and I just had a really busy week." And I was like, "Oh, you couldn't take 10 seconds out of your busy week to text me back?" And he was like, "Yeah, sorry." If you like those relationships where you're texting each other 24/7, an older man might not be the best option for you. For me, I even told him this. I was like, "You know I'm not needy, but couldn't you have taken 10 seconds out of your day to text me back?" Because I was texting him about that big snowstorm that we had. I had texted him and I was just like, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you all right? Did you make it through the past week?" And he didn't text me back for like 2 weeks. And I even like was texting my friends, like, should I say something to him? Should I not? And they were like, "Well, he already left you on red. There's no reason for you to reach out again because he already left you on red." And I even went on a date with another guy, and that's actually what prompted me to text him, is because I had a terrible experience on a date with a 21-year-old, and I'm 23, so like, probably shouldn't have done that anyway, but oh well. I changed all my dating apps, so now that they say 25 to 49. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted to just delete my dating apps because I've done this before. I've been on like 3 dates with different people in the time span that I've been dating this one guy. And every single time, it's not good. None of these dates have been like fun, or I'm not interested in these people. So I think that's why I keep ending up back with older men. I keep trying to get away, but they keep pulling me back. Okay, I'm off topic. They're forgetful. They might not text you back. So that could potentially be an issue if you care about things like that. I usually don't, but like this was a situation where I was like, which leads me into my next point. They're not very good with technology. Like I was explaining to this guy that I've been dating TikTok, because he wanted to know what social media sites he could leverage for his business. And I was telling him about TikTok, and I was showing him some TikToks that I had made. It's like he knows the information, but he doesn't apply it. So it's kind of hard if you're really into social media, maybe technology, maybe you're like into video games or something, and he doesn't get it. Like it can cause like a gap right there. I was showing him the video that I made doing the bus it challenge, and he was like, "Well, shouldn't you have done the second outfit first since everybody has a short attention span on social media these days?" And I was like, no, bud. This is a trend. Like everyone is doing this. It's a song. It's like a popular thing. There are several people that are doing this trend, and that's like kind of how you use social media. I like it because I feel like that's the time that I get to be the smart one in our, I wouldn't say we're in a relationship, but we do have a relationship because we are like dating. Okay, I don't want to be like, "Oh my god, this is my boyfriend, like we're in a relationship," but like any relationship that you have with another person is still a relationship, even if you're not in a relationship. So sometimes I like to be the smart one in our relationship. And I know I can do that when it comes to social media and technology. But like I said, it can cause a gap in understanding, which leads me into my next point, which is I have had a lot of issues trying to come up with planning dates for us. The guy that I am dating, all we do is eat dinner together, basically. We go out to dinner, we order takeout, he cooks for me. One of those three things. And I've kind of been thinking to myself, I want to go do something else. I want to do an activity or like spend some time together doing something else. But if you don't have a lot in common, that can pose an issue. Men and women are already so different, and you add a 20-year age gap in there, and we have nothing in common. We have similar personalities. That's the thing that I love about the guy that I'm dating right now, is we have very similar personalities. It's a little scary that I think that I'm so similar to a man in his 40s, but astrologically, we are very compatible. And I can attribute our similar personality traits to that. However, like, our common interests don't overlap that much. I think the one thing that we could really do together is maybe like go golfing, and I don't even have my golf clubs right now. My dad's bringing them when he comes tomorrow, but in general, we don't have that much in common. So if you have any suggestions for dates that I can go on with this guy who's like 20 years older than me, leave it in the comments below, please. If you are an old man and you want to let me know any kind of creative dates that you think would be fun that I could plan for us, just let me know, please. Another thing about them being 20 years older than you is that they can be kind of like emotionally guarded just because of the generation that they were raised in. Because our generation is much more accepting of men's feelings than some of the older generations. And in some older generations, being vulnerable wasn't considered manly or like okay. So sometimes they can be more emotionally guarded. They can have walls up, especially if they have been divorced and they may be carrying old baggage into your new relationship. So that's one thing that I've actually really had to struggle with. Like, I'm a Pisces, so I'm really into like being open and vulnerable and talking about my feelings. And that's not really something this guy does. He's an Aquarius too, okay? So he's not willing to open up always about the things that I wish he would. And that's not just with this guy. It's with older men in general. I just use this man as an example because that's the current climate of my relationship status. That's the easiest person to use as an example because that's who I've been seeing. So, sorry, dude. If you're watching this, I might tell him that I started this YouTube channel, and if he decides to come look it up, he might not like it that I use him as an example for all of these things. But I didn't tell you his name or anything, so he can't be mad at me. He could, but he left me on red for 2 weeks. Screw him. Another thing to consider if he is getting out of a past marriage or something is if he has children, he might not have as much time for you, or even if he is just busy with work, he might not have as much time for you. So again, kind of like the being forgetful and not texting you back point is he just might not have enough time for you. And if you are somebody that needs quality time and that is your love language, dating older men might not be your thing. Quality time is my love language, but I'm also kind of a loner. Like, if we're together, I want all of your undivided attention, but if we're not together, do whatever you want, basically, is how I see it. If you are one of those people that like wants to crawl up your boyfriend's ass, you might not want to date an older man. If you're the kind of person that wants to crawl up your boyfriend's ass, you probably shouldn't be dating anyway, because you need to learn how to be independent. And to go along with those lines of work and children and past relationships, he might not take you that seriously. I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm not looking for a serious relationship for another few years. And I know that for myself. But if you're looking for a serious relationship and you start dating older men just because you think, oh, they know what they want, that might not work out for you. Because you might be looking for a husband and he might see you as his midlife crisis. So just be conscious of that. Another issue you could run into dating older men is that you could set your expectations too high. I know that I said, dating older men is great. Here are 10 reasons why. But if you are only using all of the great things about dating older men to consider who you should be dating, that's not a great idea. In your head, you might have these expectations for how older men act and how they should treat you as a lady. But if you don't take into consideration who he is as a person and like his feelings, that's an issue that I used to have. I know that guy that I said in my last video locked me out of his house when we got into a fight. I had this expectation because he had been so nice and so good to me for, we were dating for what, like 4 months when that happened? And I had just set this expectation for like how he acted and how he was going to act. And obviously that did not work out in my favor. So just don't set any expectations for them. It'll just end up disappointing you in the end. Number 9, I don't know if you care about this, but your dad might not approve of you dating somebody that's closer in age to him than they are to you. I know my dad doesn't like it. But like I said, these are just things to take into consideration if you are thinking about dating older men. It's not like a be-all, end-all type of deal. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I don't really care, it's your life. And number 10, this is the worst one, is that they tend to be know-it-alls. Number 1, we already know men are mansplainers. There's like literally a word for it. They think they're smarter than you just because they're a man. Now, on top of that, just imagine that they're 20 years your senior. They think that they're like your college professor or something. They don't really, but like they think they know more than you. And they probably do, but sometimes the way that they say it can be a little condescending. And like I said, in my top 10 things I wish I had known before starting OnlyFans video, I hate it when people talk to me like I'm stupid. So I can get really, really frustrated when I am dating an older man and he starts talking to me like I'm stupid. But I'm usually pretty good at deflecting that. I like to think of myself as a pretty smart person. I'm a number 5 Enneagram, which is the investigator. I really like to look things up and learn new things. One thing that I've found that I love, 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 the guy that I'm dating right now, what he'll do is if he doesn't agree with something that I say, he just kind of asks a question to make me think about what I said. And I really, really appreciate that, but it still kind of goes along the same lines where he thinks he's smarter than me. And if I have a good answer, he'll accept it, and that's really cool, but sometimes they talk to you like you're stupid, and if you don't like that the way I don't like that, this might be a deal breaker for you. So there are 10 things that you should probably take into consideration before you start dating an older man, even though they're better than dating someone our own age. Honestly, I still think that you should just date a woman. Hit the like button if you agree, and subscribe if you think I'm right about the 10 reasons why you should date older men and the 10 things you should consider before you start dating older men. And I'll see you in the next one.